right, mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. What up? What up? It's the AGM podcast, second episode, man. Thank you guys for the feedback on the first one. We got plenty of great responses, man. A lot of support, man, and we appreciate you. Keep on sending in the love. allgrindmedia21@gmail.com. Let us know anything you want us to talk about, bring up. Just bring it to our attention, man. And I want to give a quick shout out to the Dodgers and the Lakers. I don't know if we got fans, but
shout out.
Us being LA breeds,
Sorry,
you know
LA
what I mean?
team.
Quick shout out. D also wanted to shout somebody else out.
Oh, Javante Davis. Oh yeah, that uppercut from hell.
Yeah, man. I didn't watch the fight, but I did see.
Yeah, I didn't watch the fight.
Beautiful uppercut.
I was watching Tay-Rock versus Murder Mook.
Oh, okay.
For anybody that's like in battle raps.
Man, I ain't watched battle rap. I don't know how long, bro. I didn't even know Mook was still at it.
Yeah, nah, he did a good job too.
Who you think won?
Murder Mook won, hands down.
So he still got it.
Definitely.
All right. We're gonna start with the elephant in the room. We actually planned this day because it was after the election. And crazy enough, we still don't have a damn president right now.
We don't.
Which is crazy.
No,
So, as far as we know, unless there's an update, I know it's like hour
It's
by hour.
expected.
Right?
I mean, it's gonna take a while for mail-in ballots to get counted. It's gonna take.
But
a
it
while
feel like this took longer than usual, right? Like usually we know by like the.
I mean, I was asking my mom that the other day. I was like, this gotta be like unusual or like crazy, for it to take this long. But she brought up that fiasco in 2000, with Gore and Bush,
the Florida votes. But yeah, that's weird.
But we've been seeing a lot of people going back and forth social media, black people to be exact, over Trump and Biden. So I want to ask y'all, just where y'all stand as far as like how y'all view both of them. If y'all mess with one of them, one or the other. If y'all don't mess with either of them at all, like I'll start with you, D. Like how do you?
Yeah,
how do you view them?
I mean they one and the same to me. It's kind of like the two-headed snake situation when it comes to Democrats and Republicans. Personally, I like Trump more than I like Joe Biden. Not
coming in with the hot take, okay? You better explain.
Slavery was a choice.
I'm gonna need you to back that up with some information.
Slavery was a choice.
I'm gonna need a follow-up statement.
That's the stance you want to take, bro.
Yeah.
Not for like any political reasons, anything like that, but he's just more entertaining than Joe Biden. I definitely don't like the way that they're like trying to sell Joe Biden to black people. Like it's he's the white savior for Donald Trump. But it's like when you check his record out, he was instrumental in the crime bill, and some of his quotes and just the way he moves is just as racist, if not more racist than the things Donald Trump has said.
Right.
So for this election, and it was kind of the same for the last one with Hillary too. I don't really feel like I got a dog in the fight with either president. I feel like they both equally racist. Just one smiles at you with the racism, and the other one just kind of tells you exactly how they feel. But at least with Donald Trump, he's entertaining at the very least. I'm a laugh.
Yeah, bro, it's funny. I'll give him that.
At some of the stuff, at all the stuff he says, and just because he's not like a career politician, he doesn't have that same like tact in responding that other politicians do. So you never really know how he's gonna come across, what he's gonna say, and like that's exciting to me.
I mean, I personally think like Donald Trump's the whole clown. Entertaining, absolutely. Right. But do we need an entertainer for a president, or do we need a president for a president? I mean, that's what it comes down to. Like, he's very entertaining. He has Twitter fingers like a mug, but ultimately, like, he's an illogical individual. He shows it every time he opens his mouth, whether it be openly committing felonies as a president, before and after, but definitely as a president, telling people to vote twice and some more stuff. Like, bro, do you hear yourself? Like, you're openly going against like democratic policies, American policies, voting policies, and you're upset because you're openly not winning immediately.
Right.
I'm not saying he still won't win. I very much so think that he can definitely still win with hidden ballots here and there. Biden's looking good. I think it's a lesser of two evils kind of situation. Right. So, I mean, ultimately, hopefully Biden wins so things can move past Trump because he's not a politician. So he doesn't do what he needs to be doing. He's still acting like a civilian in the White House. That doesn't make sense. That's not how he's supposed to carry on.
I mean, I am shocked at where we're at right now. I honestly thought Trump was going to blow Biden out the water.
Yeah.
Because I remember, I have a vivid memory, you know, from when I was younger, and Bush, you know, pretty much did everything wrong that you can do as a president and just displays so much evil intent as a president. And I remember when it was time for him to go against John Kerry, he like blew him out. So I figured, you know, Trump has just been one of the most like disgusting, vile presidents that we've had, especially regarding black people. But, you know, he's been there, so sometimes I think people just feel like, hey, like, you started whatever you started, so we need you to finish this, you know what I'm saying? And then you can...
I feel like what it is, like, Trump, he spoke to, like, a certain demographic in America, like, a pretty big demographic in America, which is more or less racist white people.
Unapologetically.
Unapologetically. So, like, after the Obama administration, they was tight. And so when Trump came out, speaking how he was speaking, he wasn't saying, like... anything directly against black people, but like make America great again, build the wall.
It was an undertone.
Heavy undertone.
Hella implications, like
undertone. Like it
very much
resonated
so
very
heavy
well.
implications.
And so I don't think anybody really believed that he was going to be like. I don't even think Trump believed himself that he was going to become president.
All right. I said that on the last episode. I was I thought it was a joke, like literally until
and so like him on the way to becoming president, like in 2016, he was talking about like people's mamas, calling people retarded, stuff like that.
He was saying.
So him becoming president, like it was unprecedented for a man like that to be president. Right. And then I feel like the duration of his presidency for over the last 4 years, it was so untraditional that even white people who probably are more Republican were like, yo, we got to get him out because he's too uncontrollable. And Joe Biden, even though he's a Democrat, he probably represents more of like traditional Republican conservative values. Right. You feel me? I feel like only reason most Republicans are still with Trump is because like this is our party and they're so loyal to the fact that they're Republicans.
About the parties. Absolutely.
But I'm quite sure behind closed doors, they're like, this nigga can't even read like that. Right. I heard somebody say he doesn't enjoy music.
What?
And that was hilarious. What? He doesn't enjoy music.
I can see it though.
I mean, as far as those two, like, I'm with you. Like, I don't really have like much of a dog in the fight, but you know, I mean, a lot of people feel like, even a lot of black people I see now feel like, oh, well, you know, Trump might be the right, you know, per se president, you know what I mean? It might implement more things or might get more money or tax breaks, but for me, I don't know how y'all feel, but for me, like, character matters. Like, when you're supposed to be in a position like that of who we're being led by, and when you said some of the vile things that you said, especially regarding us, like when you called the NFL players who kneel sons of bees, and you called Nigeria like a split whole country, and like when you make comments like that and you're just so like vile and like, again, like you said, just open with your racism to where you make other people feel empowered who feel the same way as you.
Very
like so just on those merits alone, it's like, no, you're trash, and I don't think you should be our leader. It is what it is. I also don't mess with Biden either, especially after some of the comments I've seen him make this summer.
Just his behavior alone, I mean, seeing compilations of him groping children, or, you know, doing little things that are definitely pedophilia related and sparking interest in the idea of like, you doing something wrong. This is creepy behavior, period. Regardless of the context, this is creepy. These young individuals, female or otherwise, are openly showing that they're uncomfortable while you're making these slight advances and these subtle moves and pulling hair back and touching inappropriate parts or different things like that. Like, people are openly showing how uncomfortable they are. It's high-key disgusting.
And both of them have those type of accusations on them. So it's like, lesser again, what are we really...
And either one, like there isn't a lesser.
It should have been Bernie Sanders versus Trump too. That's another thing. Like the Democratic Party, like and purposely, what's the word? Sabotage Bernie Sanders to allow Biden to come through. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like two ways I look at it. As far as like America is concerned, like part of me is like, yo, just let the circus be the circus, and I'ma just, you know, whatever happens, if America falls,
that's where I'm at with it for sure.
You know, I'm a like, cause I feel like as Black people, our relationship with America has always been like, whoever's in charge, we gotta do what we can for ourselves,
anyway, exactly.
No matter what. So I got that part, but at the same time, you know, I'm American, so there is that portion of me that's like, I want the country to do well. And like the implications of having Trump as a president, like even within America, but then also like the other countries that look at it, they're like, y'all got this clown being y'all leader, and they looking at America's like, y'all niggas is fools. So,
and I also think we should address like all the Black people who over the years with Democrats, period, like make the Democrat candidates feel comfortable enough to make comments like, oh, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black.
Yeah,
like,
and that says
I felt like there should have been so much more outrage. Like, because if Trump says even like a little bit of something like that, like, you know, like we go hard, but like it felt like I was on my lonesome. Like when I was really like flaming hot about that. Like, nigga, you feel that comfortable enough to
that's what that's peculiar personally. Like that's weird.
And then your background on top, like you don't even if there was somebody that warranted that, like that's not you. You feel me? But and even if you were, that's not for you to say. Like if we say that amongst each other, like, you know, that's on some funny stuff. We've done stuff like that, but I don't know. I felt like there should have been much more outrage, but you know, and then that's why you have, you know, a lot of the people now that are, you know, going at, you know, well, to be honest, like I made a post recently where I said, like, honestly, I think Democrats just think Black people are stupid. They really just insult our intelligence, like to such an extent that I can't even like fathom anymore, and it's like right in our face, and yet we still keep like eating it up as a people to where we like, oh, like Democrats are your friends and Republican is supposed to be like the big bad boogeyman. It's like both of them is under the same umbrella.
On that subject, like, you know how like when it comes to Black people and white people, the Republicans and the Democrats like used to be reversed. So Republicans free Black, well, not free Black people, but President Lincoln was, you know what I'm saying. So and it was that way basically from the Emancipation Proclamation of 1865 all the way up until like 1964 with like Martin Luther King and everything like that. It wasn't until Lyndon B. Johnson started doing the whole civil rights movement laws and stuff like that, and he's quoted as saying like, yo, with these laws, I'm gonna have Black people voting Democrat for like the next 100 years on some like, y'all niggas is about to like with this move, y'all about to fuck with us, and you know it's pretty much what it's been. It's been like 60 years already. So
I mean, even if you just see the stench, like go walk into a room and tell a room full of Black people that you vote Republican,
right?
It's
like,
and see the look
and just see
versus
the reaction.
If you say Democrat, like as if they, you know, like they're just so much better. So I don't know, maybe that's just a stigma we got to get addressed at some point.
And it's also funny because most Black people, especially like older Black people, like our grandparents or whatever, their moral leanings are more in line with like conservative Republicans than Democrats. Like if we really
all the independence talk that niggas is on, that's all.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of Republicans, you know, theologies from back then. You know, Martin Luther King was heavily, you know, more so on the Republican side than Democrat. Where do y'all stand on on voting? Like, do y'all vote, and you know, how do y'all feel about people that don't?
I don't feel no type of way about it. If you vote, beautiful. If you don't vote, because I was like, some Black people's like, you don't vote, our ancestors die for the right to vote, what you here for? And then some Black people's like, you vote, oh, you stupid, like you voted for it. And I'm like, I don't feel any type of way. It's like, if you vote, beautiful. If you don't vote and you have a reason for not voting, then
that's probably the biggest key. You having a reason.
That's a big key. It's one thing to not just not want to do it just because you don't know about it or whatever the case may be. It's another to openly have looked into it, see the differences it has made in our community or whatever the case may be, what impact we have as voters, and choosing not to do it. Right. Completely understandable. I feel the same way as Dorian in the respect of like, yeah, if you do, excellent. I mean, cool. If you don't, to each his own. That's none of my business. Right. That's on you. I mean, ultimately, it comes down to the electoral votes. Let's be real. Yeah. Ultimately, technically, we don't influence as much as we like to think in America because we are holding these certain groups of people to make this vote for this state, which is millions of people depending on which state. Right. And ultimately, not every person is going to get their voice heard.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of like the props that people vote on, like, honestly, who we vote for, especially in Cali, I don't think really holds as much weight because we're always just heavily Democratic anyway. It's like Republicans don't even bother like coming to Cali like that to even try to push because they already know where we stand. So like outside of that, it's really not much of a difference anyway. Yeah. Personally, I don't. And part of it is because of what we talked about earlier with Gore and Bush back in the day, and me remembering how like flagrantly rigged that was and how they just snatched the election from dudes. So I'm like, if it's that easy, you know what I mean, because you got a brother in Florida who, you know what I'm saying, who can make that type of impact, I'm like, how much difference does it make, whether we vote or not? There's that, and then for two, again, like I said, character matters, and y'all niggas is both trash. Y'all the only ones, like, I seen somebody give an example of, like, you're not going to root for a team that's not in the finals. So it's like, what's the point of me going in there and voting for somebody else? You know what I mean? And nobody has a chance anyway. So that's where I'm at with that. I just, again, I've heard the argument of, like you said, like, oh, your ancestors died. Like, our ancestors died for our right to vote, not, you know what I'm saying?
We died to be human. Come on now. We died to be recognized as human, like, as everybody else.
One of my little homies said earlier, he was like, your ancestors also died for y'all to read, but half you niggas wouldn't pick up a book if it kills you.
Right, thank you.
So, like, land ownership, start businesses, like, it's a lot of things.
Plenty of it. I mean, literal human rights, like general human rights, being able to be seen by a doctor and not a vet, being able to be seen as another white individual or another person as opposed to just an animal or somebody who's so less than that we have to get treated as if we are animals. Like, there's a big difference. I'm curious though.
Yeah, but I do want to say on the topic of voting, like your local elections for sure matter. Definitely. Voting in your local elections probably on your like day-to-day impacts of your life, they matter more so than national elections. So
I think it depends on what your bottom line is though. Because for me, I mean, like what is like, what are you referring to when you say our local elections matter?
Well, like for instance, we're like in Palmdale, Lancaster, AV. So voting for, I don't know, your mayor who's like the chief of police or something like that, that's going to have a more day-to-day impact on your life than who's president of the United States, because that person is going to inflict policies that affect your local area. Like, we'll use Flint, for example. It was I think the mayor or somebody who was in charge of Flint, he decided instead of using the water reserves that they had been using, he wanted to use a cheaper water reserve. And even though everybody was like, yo, that water reserve is probably infected, it probably has lead in it or whatever, he still switched it over to that. And sure enough, the water is now laced with lead. And it still has been that way for like, I don't know, like 5 years.
Yeah, right? 4 or 5 years at this point.
Yeah, and that's probably like the most infamous example of it. But that's an example of a local election that, I'm not saying it's anybody's fault who voted for him or anything like that, but it's an example of how local elections impact your day-to-day life.
Well, I mean, I think, the one of our biggest issues, and we're going to talk more about this later, but I think one of our biggest issues in our community is like the caged, you know what I mean, like environment that they're in, to where they don't really feel like they have an outlet, they don't have as many resources, and that stuff needs to be placed around them more. And I think that has to do more with influence and money than anything else. Like the system is set up a certain way anyway. That's what it is. Again, even voting on the chief of police or whatever, they have like laws implemented that are supposed to protect us to where they're not supposed to abuse power. They're not supposed to go overboard. They're supposed to report certain stuff.
Right.
You know, when they see something out of line. But what's the reality?
It's not happening.
If they do that, it's actually the opposite effect on them. They're the ones that's not trusted. They're the, they're the ones that are, outcasted or, blacklisted from that institution. So, I mean, that's why, like, even with that, it's like that doesn't affect my bottom line because I'm trying to be more grounded and, be more hands-on with exactly what the issue is rather than, a bunch of people that I don't feel like care anyway.
I could do that. I mean, I guess that's, to take it back to black people, main issue is we don't unify in productive ways. So it's almost like voting is supposed to empower what the community wants as what we want, what direction we want to go into. But if we're not unified and we don't have a community to speak of, it's kind of like voting is almost like a random act of just like you're just throwing something up and like I hope it worked.
Right.
Because there's no way to keep the people that we elect accountable if we don't have a unified community to like say, hey, we came together and voted you in power. But if it's like it's just me and just you and we're just all individuals, like we're voting, but it's like by ourselves we can't really do
so
too
we need
much.
Like a Black Panther type program.
No, for sure. We need
all
that.
Where they are accountable for the laws that are supposed to be in place already.
Yeah, all that.
So I don't know if y'all heard about the news about the baby's brother.
I heard about it.
Only vaguely.
Yeah. So he made like a video. I guess the other day. I don't know if it was like a couple days ago. He made a video. Basically, explaining, everything he's been feeling. It was kind of like troubling to watch. Like, he was like on the verge of tears and just like saying, like, basically just crying for help. And basically that same night, they said that he had shot himself. He had an inflicted bullet wound. And rest in peace. Prayers out to his family. But I bring this up because the last episode we had, one of the things that you said, and something that had nothing to do with it, but you said like mental health is important in our community, and it came back to me when you said that. So I kind of wanted to bring this up now. Like, how do you think we should like go about this of addressing it? Because we do have like so much like trauma and oppression that we're fighting, and mental health with the Black community was always something that I wasn't really like fully engaging in. I don't know why. It was just so much other stuff that I felt was more important. But I think
it's not highlighted. I mean, it's not one of those things that has priority in our community. That's never something that's talked about ever. Literally never. Now, sure, it might come up here and there. Now, sure, I feel like one of the biggest things is that we need more Black individuals going into the mental health system or into psychology.
Right.
In order to have other masses of Black individuals or people of color feel comfortable to have people to go to. Because I feel like amongst the stigmas, not only is it one of those things that's heavily portrayed as something white, one, because of money, sure, but however, just because of how white people are, they're more free with being able to talk to other people, go to doctors, go to appointments, whatever it may be. Black people have a stigma. They're going to be looked at differently, whether it be in regular medical care or mental health medical care. And for us, typically, most therapists are going to be not Black. Right. Let's be real. So it will make it harder, but ultimately it's not talked about. For Black people, we go to community. We go to gangs. We go to groups of people to help let out and blow off steam in other ways, whether it be with violence, whether it be with running streets, whether it be with whatever, like the negative stereotypes that we or other people have seen in our community. Right. That's a coping mechanism for us. That's not just, gangs is not just something that we do for fun and just do just for the fuck of it. That's a coping mechanism. Having a community, having a family, having people that will ride for you. that's real. Having people that you don't necessarily got to speak explicitly about your struggle, but you know that they're going to understand through and through. Right. I feel like that's what's missing right now. I have a Black therapist. I've had one for 3 years. I got lucky enough to come across her. It makes a difference having a Black woman therapist to understand my Black woman problems. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely a difficult subject to talk about for our community, considering how dismissed it has been for us. Like, considering how much trauma we've gone through with our past in America, being African Americans, you'd think that we'd have more resources for help, and we don't. And here we are, 2020, 40 years post segregation, civil rights, or whatever, and 40 years plus, we still don't have proper outlets for it. And that's where it's people like, not only me, but people like my therapist, people like that are interested in helping other people, understanding the human brain pertaining to Black Americans. Because Black people, it's a spectrum. We're not all the same. Black Americans are different from Black Africans. Right. Black Africans are different from Black Jamaicans. Black Jamaicans are different from, it's gonna vary always. I feel like we just need to be a lot more open with being vulnerable and not being caught up. And it's not just Black people, but it's toxic masculinity. Men don't feel like they have the opportunity to speak. What'd you say?
That's a buzzword.
It is.
Toxic masculinity.
It is. And it's so real. It's so prominent in the American society, especially amongst Black men. We have to be looked at as hard, as thugs, as, rigid, as not crying a tear. A Black man, not synonymous. Like, those don't go together.
And that was one thing I thought about when it came to this. Like, as a community, a lot of things that we look at as normal is not normal.
It's trauma normalized.
Like a lot of us came up in like warfare type, situations, but when they come back from the military, they got all type of resources and stuff, and they're so like empathetic when it comes to them. But we got 7-8-year-olds that are dealing with stuff similar to them, and like, where's their resources? Where's their counseling? Where's their help when it comes to that? As far as counseling, I'm not like a fan of it. I'll be real, only because I feel like with most counselors, it's like if you weren't like paying them, they probably wouldn't be speaking to you.
Sure.
And I feel like the counseling should be somebody that actually does care about you, actually does love you, actually does understand you. Like personally, I got lucky. Like I had like a big cousin, big brother type role to where like I could always go to him and I didn't ever have to be embarrassed. Like this has never happened, but if something crazy happened like I was to get like an STD or something, I don't have to be embarrassed to talk to him about that. He's not going to look at me with no judgment. And I think that's more valuable than any counselor can give you, because you never know what they might be thinking. They're also human.
Ultimately, a safe space is what's needed. Our community needs to let go of a lot of judgment. I feel like another thing that inhibits us from actually diving into mental health is the heavy reliance on religion and God, personally. Because people be quick to be like, just pray it away, meditate, pray to God, blessings will come, whatever. And I'm not disregarding that. I'm just saying that's not a cure-all. Yeah. Going to God isn't going to help you change in brain chemicals that are unregulated because of how your brain works, because of traumas that you've dealt with. Sorry, but God, which is a mental aspect, will not change your actual brain chemicals. It will help. It will help with coping mechanisms. But I feel like people be like, go to church. You don't got bipolar. You're not depressed. Go to church, pray about it. And that's that. They disregard it. We dismiss a lot of serious things and either put it on religion, put it on just a passing time, put it on just being sad, or demean somebody for feeling depressed.
And in some cases, some people could look at prayer as another form of meditation.
And that can be.
And I'm not saying it work for some.
I'm not saying it doesn't help. I'm saying it's not a cure-all.
Right.
I'm saying it's not a cure-all. And
so
I'm
there
saying
needs to be more.
It needs to be more with it. I feel like there needs to be more knowledge with it and more looking into it, research with it, because I'm not saying everybody needs coping mechanisms. That may be prayer, that may be religion, that may be whatever, just sitting in a room in the dark by yourself, not listening to anything, that whatever it may be for you, It is what it is. But I'm saying that's not a cure-all. Let's not just right away the fact that, for me, bipolar, I've been told for years, just meditate. Meditation ain't gonna help shit with these cycles that I can't control because my brain chemicals are acting the way they are. It is what it is. I can find other things. Prayer's not gonna do it for me. Prayer's gonna do it for people, not for me. I'm not religious. Gotcha. So art does it for me. Reading does it for me. Escapism does it for me. Watching things that I enjoy. Different things do it for me, but God isn't one of them. The universe, sure. Manifestation, absolutely. Zeroing in, and we could talk about religion in another episode, but zeroing in on Christianity, sure. I am not Christian. I cannot say that. I was raised Christian, which caused cognitive dissonance because I see it. Ultimately, mental health needs to be better highlighted and not just dismissed as something that's just a passing phase, when in reality, it can be, but it's not always that. PTSD is real. Depression is real. Anxiety is real. Bipolar is real. All of that should not be dismissed as just you flipping out, you not having God, you tripping. Things, everybody reacts to things differently. We gotta acknowledge that there's a wide spectrum of emotions.
Yeah, it's for sure a complex issue
exactly.
in our community, and then the solutions are going to be different
for everybody.
Based on everybody's situation.
It's subjective, absolutely.
And then we have to be able to discern the difference between, depressed because I don't know, things aren't going well in my life, or I might need to work out, drink more water, go outside, do something different, and actual chemical imbalances inside the mind that can be brought upon
through diets, all of that,
through drug use. You could just be born that way. You could have gone through something incredibly traumatic that, flip a switch or something like that. But as far as mental health in the Black community, I feel like it's just now. Probably for sure within the last couple 10 years.
Well, for me, the last couple to where I've seen it being taken more serious and more advocacy for it. Yeah,
it's more highlighted. But I feel like because I hear that word a lot. Like, I gotta take a mental health day, and I think that's all good. It's all good because we do have to be more conscientious of our mental state as we move through the world, as we communicate with other people, as we do a lot of different things. Because even checking myself, I'm not, I've been told I've been moody, and that could be mental health, you feel me, or I just wake up and I'm not feeling good, so that could be mental health. So I feel like that's where I don't got no statistics, but I feel like that's where the majority of us are, is we're just not happy in a nutshell. We're depressed in a nutshell. And to connect it back to the baby's brother, I'm not really sure what his issues were, as far as whether he had severe mental issues, or if it's just kind of a thing of with the rise of social media, we're seeing an increase in suicides for young children, and they're trying to connect those two, saying there's some type of correlation between social media and suicide for young children. And I feel like there's validation there to an extent, because even myself, and I feel like I'm a pretty mentally strong individual, you can go on social media and start looking at other things, and then you immediately want to compare it to your own life. And some people aren't able to turn their own thoughts, so once they go down a negative thought trail, they just go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it, and it's hard to pull yourself out of it. So I can't really say what the solution is as far as what mental health is, but I feel like maybe try an array of things. Maybe trying to work out, maybe try to go on a social media detox,
explore what different ways to express yourself. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can play around with, but something you said definitely made me want to ask this question, because you said you don't know the baby's brother's mental health situation, if it was serious or not severe. Now, us knowing Kanye West is more on the severe end of the spectrum, if he killed himself, how would you feel? What would you think?
I think I would think somebody Kanye West loves himself too much to kill himself. But on that end, I do just because I'm a Kanye fan, so any media, any type of interview, anytime Kanye talks, I try to like check it out and listen. From listening to Kanye, he's a deeper person, but he doesn't express himself in a way that I feel is normal. So, based off of my limited understanding, I would say there is some type of, I don't want to say mental issue, even though he came out and say he's bipolar. I would just say this. I don't know. His mechanisms are different, but I also feel like on the Kanye subject, he was saying things like after he made the statement, slavery was a choice. Like his team and his wife got him committed to like an insane asylum and put him on drugs and stuff like that.
I thought that was before that.
Well, it's around that time for sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's been more. There's been more than on one occasion. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
But that also brings into another issue of like pharmaceutical companies and the effects that those type of drugs can have on us as well.
Making it worse.
And shit, we can even start talking about like the mental health issue is also connected to the homelessness issue as well. Because a lot of people that are homeless, it's not, most people that are homeless, it's not simply just because they can't afford a place to live. A lot of people that are homeless, they have like serious drug issues, and a lot of them have serious mental health issues.
If they don't, they end up having it at some point.
Yeah, it develops eventually. So, but to answer that question, if Kanye West killed himself, my personal opinion, I'd be like, yo, they got to my guy.
I'd probably like, it would just be extremely, extremely sad. I mean, but the thing is, like, I kind of look at Kanye like he gone already, like, because he has such a cold turnaround. Like, again, like the music that he was making when he came in, the stances that he was taking when he came in, and then versus a lot of the stuff that, you know, he started like in 2018, it was just so contradictory. And I don't, you know, people are allowed to grow, people are allowed to, you know, evolve, but I don't know, it just seemed like a totally different person to where I was just like, the Kanye that I came up on that was teaching me, like, that's not him right there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it would just be like extremely sad, and you know, maybe I'm still not kind of taking it as serious as I should be with the mental health that you know.
I would say life is enough to make almost anybody go crazy, like especially if you're not like monitoring yourself adequately, you will go crazy. For sure.
Especially for like somebody like Kanye who actually does, like, I'll give him this, like probably one of the most educated people I could think of. Like, he does his homework, like as far as what he knows, like he be knowing what the hell he talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So if he says something out of bounds, I still be thinking like, oh, he's doing that intentionally, like, because I know he knows better. Like I know, you know what I mean?
It's weird. Like he probably knows somewhere in his mind that what he's saying isn't like the correct way to say it, but it's like even when I talk, sometimes it's like you got to decide where you want to come from. You want to come more from like an intellectual standpoint, or you want to let your emotion and passion speak.
Right.
And each one you'll get a different effect. If you want to be more intellectual, you're gonna have like a more reserved type way of talking. It might not inspire as many people, but your point will come across clear. But if you want to speak from your passion, you know, you probably gonna turn a lot of people off. But the people that you do touch and that do get it, they gonna fuck with you all the way. I think Kanye, especially when he like gets in front of people, he speaks more so from his emotion, from the passion, from his heart, as opposed to like a more intellectual standpoint.
And another thing about the baby's brother too, like, I mean, I don't know none of these people personally, but it was crazy when I seen that, like, on his album last year, he mentioned his brother on a big song. It was a song that I super effed with too, like, and I remembered that line. But like when I just seen it again after the news broke, and I was like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was really like something for real. Like, you know, so I don't know how involved, you know, I mean, clearly this is something that like money can't cure, you know. I started looking in, like, you know, his brother was basically saying like, you know, like, come on, whenever you ready, you know, we trying to be there. And I mean, you know, they seem like they you know messed up from it right now. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of, you know, there'll be certain like situations that happen where it just kind of like triggers something in you. Right. I don't know what it was, but when I seen that, it just kind of triggered something. Like, you know, like when the Trayvon Martin situation happened, I think, you know, my pro-blackness went to like another level as far as like me wanting to educate myself,
right?
Because it was like probably the first time in my generation I could think of where it was like right in your face, like you seen it in real time. It's not something that your parents had to teach you about where you just like, oh yeah, that was 50, 60 years ago. It was like, no, like I seen this. I seen y'all say not guilty. First of all, I seen y'all not arrest this nigga. You let him go home that night.
Right.
I seen all of that in real time, and that was just like, you know, something was lit inside, you know, based on that situation. And I think a lot of people from our era feel the same way. But I mean, yeah, again, you know, rest in peace to his brother, man. We're definitely gonna have this conversation a lot more going forward. But I just kind of, you know, want to freestyle with us a little bit, man. Like, D, what's like a couple of the issues you feel need to be addressed in our community? I mean, I know there's like a million, but
you start.
Just think some stuff that comes to mind, like, you know.
Shit, man. I feel like one of the main issues, and it's been said so many times, it's a cliche at this point, but we need like legitimate unity in our communities, and like that looks different in a lot of different ways. But I often hear people say like black people aren't monolithic, which we aren't, but there are a lot of benefits from being monolithic. If we use like the Asian community as an example, they're extremely monolithic in their viewpoints and their political views, social views, all type of things. So as black people, if we really want our station in America and our station in life to be better for all of us across the board, then we do have to adopt more uniform ways of going about things. I can't say exactly what we all have to agree upon or how we have to go about it, but number one is like we have to have like legitimate unity, like for sure, whether it's I don't know, Killer Mike just opened up a bank, so unless we all say we're only going to bank with this bank for sure, because like I can't go into an Asian community and open up a bank, a corner store, I can't be on the corner selling nothing. I can't do, they're not, and even if I could, they're not going to do business with me.
Right.
And it's because they
infiltrate our
exactly
and put their little laundry mats
exactly,
and all that, and we go right over there.
So we do have to have more of like a uniformed approach to like, because we do have to also understand that even if we don't feel like it's us versus everybody else benefits off of us. Everybody else benefits off of us. You feel me? They send their children to college off of us. They build generational wealth off of us. So that's probably one of the main things. Shoot, I feel like that would take care of a lot. We do have to get a little bit more. We have to redevelop our understanding of like economics in America, for sure. Understanding how money works over a long period of time, like over like 5 years, 10 years, and understanding like, you know, understanding like compound interest and investing, and then understanding and economically.
But that does require, you know, what I think one of our biggest issues is the resources. We need people
to a degree. I mean,
we need stuff there to
teach
us financial literacy. We need
teachers, but I mean, a lot of stuff is you can get it on YouTube, stuff like that. But I mean, is like understanding like how America is set up economically. So with credit, understanding how to use credit appropriately. So a lot of people, we use credit as consumers. So it's like, oh, I can, you know, I got this credit card, I could go buy some clothes, I could go buy a thing, but it's just dead at the end of the day. Other communities, we could say like Jewish communities, Asian communities, they leverage their debt. So if they got like a credit or they got, you know, a credit card or something like that, they'll use it to purchase an asset or something like that eventually will start bringing in more money over time. Or they'll take $10,000 and just put it, well, we're dealing with black people, so they'll take a couple $100 and, you know, they'll say, okay, what can I do to free me, basically? How can I use this money in ways to alleviate some of the day-to-day stresses of having to go to work every single day.
Right.
And they play the long game like a motherfucker. So our economic understanding has to be just completely just overhauled, honestly, because we don't have any. For Black people, we don't really have any true understanding of how money works. We don't have any true understanding of how business works, even though it's getting better. For sure, it's getting better. I don't want to say like it's not getting better, but that's probably the main thing. And then after that,
and the level of independency that we're striving for
right now. And then after that, so more actual unity, better understanding of like our economic system that we live in, and then after that, we just have to have more of a I got to do it myself mentality. So
pour yourself up,
food, something, basically like that. Yeah, we have to be in charge of like our food, our healthcare, and things like that. If we really, 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 really want to be made okay, because like on every level, Black people like get the short end of the stick. Like when it comes to, if there's a food desert where there's like no grocery stores around, it's probably in the Black community. And then if there are grocery stores in the Black community, we're probably getting like the lowest quality of food, lowest quality of everything that we could possibly get there. When it comes to healthcare, our infant mortality rate is the highest. Our chronic diseases are the highest. Our I don't know what the proper term is, but Black women who are pregnant, they die at a higher rate than other women. So it's like we really need to figure out exactly how we can take control of ourselves and our future. Because as long as we're dependent on other people to do stuff for us, we're always going to be crying about this isn't being done right, or this isn't this it is, and we're always in a position to be taken advantage of. So
speaking to that point of like, Black women dying at a high rate when it comes to that, I actually seen a post around the time when the George Floyd protests were going on and stuff that said that, I think they said like doctors to Black women are like what police are with
yeah, for sure.
Something to that degree. Maybe you could speak to that a little more.
I mean, I personally can't say that I've had too much experience dealing with it firsthand. I'd say my only experience is going to a mental health facility after I've been at my lowest point, punching myself in the face, tequila on my breath, with the person who caused me to be at this point.
Right.
And them still acknowledging that something's wrong. I'm sure they smell the tequila on my breath and still not admitting me when I'm openly telling them I need to be in a 3-day hold. And they let me leave with my catalyst. And the cycle continues. It's things like that where it wasn't to talk to my therapist, who was a Black woman, for her to tell me like, yeah, that's your first experience in dealing with Black women not being taken seriously in the mental health community and in the health community in general. My best friend, one of the things, they were trying to give her a whole ass hysterectomy last year. Here she is a year later. She has a child. They tried to tell her she would never have a family. A year later, she has a child. It's little things like that where it's like she had health problems, so she had to be in the doctor's care. She's anemic. She had to be in the doctor's care, but she had to be aware and more adamant and more nervous about how she was being cared for.
Right.
And she would more so understand that aspect than I would. I only more so understand the mental health aspect. And even then, it's only one example, but ultimately I've seen it and I can see it. I've seen lives of female who are openly in labor not being listened to for their requests of not having an epidural, not being induced into labor, not having a C-section, whatever it may be, not being heard, not being listened to, not being respected for their human rights. I've definitely seen it time and time again.
All right. And I mean, is there, something you feel like we need to address more than, I mean, I know you're strongly about the mental health aspect for sure.
I mean, I feel like when it comes to sexism is an umbrella term, so that can mean a lot of different things. But sexism in regards to, let's just say, Black people's expression, whether it be through music, sexual music for females, whether it be through dancing, pole dancing, not stripping, pole dancing, because that's a problem too. Pole fitness is a whole ass issue too. As if
I just realized that,
which is interesting. Like, wait, why you mad at me finding a way? That's ballet and yoga and gymnastics mixed together, and thrown onto a pole.
That's
whole ass
take
art.
Like
what
another
are you mad
15
at?
years before we like across the board. Like those are two different things.
Right? No. And I mean, even just sexism in the sense of sex workers. Black women are heavily portrayed as strippers or are big into the sex work industry, which is stripping, dancing. And I'm not talking about escort. I'm not talking about prostitute. Dancing is sex work. Let's call a spade a spade. That is technically what it falls under. But they're so looked down upon. They're hoes. They're sluts. They're just fucking for money. I was a dancer. I got paid to get looked at, not touched. I got $700 a night to be looked at and dance and drink. Do the same shit I was doing at the bars, except I'm not getting molested. Right. By motherfuckers I know or do not know. I'm not getting touched. I'm not getting heavily harassed. If I am, it's nothing to get them kicked out in 0.2 seconds. I don't see what the problem is for sexism. Same with what we talked about last time with WAP. How women talk about sexuality and sex in their music and how they use their bodies. Why is that such a problem? When niggas can not only talk about how they using their bodies, but how they're taking advantage of females' bodies, right, and all the ways that they are using the assets that females can bring to the table or offer as being humans with vaginas. So, I mean, I think it's very interesting. We need to break down that stigma because it's one of the same. Human is human, sexuality is sexuality. I don't think men have the right or entitlement to be more sexual beings or able to have more sex than females because they're entering and not receiving. Like, that's retarded to me, personally.
But topic for another day.
It is, but that's just, a preview of, that's one aspect I feel needs work on amongst mental health, amongst various other things. But if you got something to throw in there too.
Yeah, I mean, obviously what I said earlier about us having more resources, I think is the biggest one that's undermined. And, especially me seeing Nipsey do what he did, it showed me like, okay, I'm not tripping. That is what the hell we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be building that around or changing the stigma of certain areas, that are just looked at. It's just like, this is so poverty, we're not even going to have nobody go over there. Like, right. No. Have these millionaires and executives go there and change the stigma of that area, so the kids that's walking by that's innocent, but we know our kids aren't looked at as kids, right, but they're kids. Mm-hmm. And when they could actually go outside and see that, and they could touch their heroes and stuff, it gives them like a more sense of like, oh, I don't have to pick up a gun, I don't have to look up to the neighborhood dope dealer and
I don't have to feel some sense of family.
Either. Like, I don't have to they don't feel the need to go to that extent to where they just they end up when they older and just the cycle continues. Another statistic. Another one I can give y'all the story like when we were having the protests out here with Robert Fuller, and this is kind of what you were saying earlier. Our unity is like, it is shot right now. Because like honestly, you're probably not gonna see me at another like protest no time soon, because we was out there and it was just like we weren't on one accord. Like we literally have like guns drawn down on us like from police. Like I know I was literally yelling like, nigga, like put the guns down, like I'm on them. And it was other people talking about like hands up, don't shoot. It was some people saying like, no, take a knee. And then there was a few of them, like myself included, like, nigga, I'm not taking no effing knee. Right. These niggas got guns drawn down. I'm not putting my hands up, and these niggas got guns drawn down on us. Like, especially I'm out here with a Huey Newton shirt that say fight back. Like, what the hell I look like? So just after that day, and again, it was other people that felt the way I felt. They were saying the same thing, but then there was, it just wasn't on the accord, because I'm like, man, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're out protesting, that means you out there and you're ready for whatever ramifications come with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you're protesting, like, you're literally putting your life on the line. Like, but it seems like some of them were out there and just trying to appeal the news outlets or to the white people, like, or just like, oh no, we want to say it's peaceful. I don't care if they say it's peaceful or not. That's not what I'm out here for. We out here for, whatever it is at that time.
They took that Martin Luther King shit and beat us over the head with it.
They favorite go to. It was white people out there, bro, like in the protest with us saying like, oh, let's just be like peaceful. Like the fact that y'all even allowing them to have that type of voice, You know what I mean? And again, yeah, like Martin Luther King, that's their favorite go-to, but it's like, you niggas killed him too.
And
so,
I was like, that's amazing. Like, y'all killed him too.
Shit, like,
and I was like halfway through his career. Like, by the time he was done, he was on some, like, he was damn near about to be a socialist by the time it was over with.
And another thing is, they hated that nigga. Like, white people didn't like Martin Luther King. When he was talking and preaching what he was preaching, they called him every name in the book that you can think of.
It's just a silencing tactic, honestly, at the end of the day. But I definitely love your point about what Nipsey thing, because like that's a major thing that we gotta do as black people. Is like, we always want to like go where we see value already instead of creating value where we're at.
Exactly.
That's the main thing, and that's also goes into business as well. Like, you find something that doesn't have value and you add value to it until other people want to come and like either purchase it from you or be a part of it. But that's like one of the main things. It's like even with this podcast, it's like we building it from the ground up, so we're adding value to it as we go along.
And it's like with white people, or I ain't just gonna say white.
And that's
people,
not to cut you off, but that's essentially that's what gentrification is. That's white people coming to a place where they feel like there's no value. They fix it up,
and they change
it up, and they add value to it, and to the point where we can't barely damn near afford to live where we grew up.
But it's not for us; it's for them. So.
Right. So adding value, learning to, I don't know, just have more of a innovative mindset where it's like, even though I don't see the beauty in it right now, I see it in my mind, and I have the willpower and the wherewithal to bring it forward.
And we got to do it, and you know, like, again, like with Nip, he was doing it in Crenshaw. Like, Melo needs to do that in Baltimore. Brian needs to do that in Cleveland. Like, it's sad that it mostly comes down to our entertainers, because that's who has the most influence. But I mean, LeBron was able to build a school.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, based on his influence. That's not something that just money is gonna buy. Like,
and it's the long. I'm telling you, it's the long game. So it's like, it's not something that's gonna be immediate. But if you stay diligent and continue to do it over time, eventually, within a year from now, you're gonna be looking back like shit. Like, this don't even look the same.
And it's just changing the fact that, like, our parents have to tell us, like, you can do anything, you can be anything, like, because other races don't have to be told that. They see it. They see the representation when they turn the TV on. They see it, you know, just in their everyday lives. We have to be told that, because we're only seen as entertainers for the most part.
Yeah, no, factual. Like, when I worked at Knockout, when people get home loans, there'd be like Asian people, white people come in, and like, I'm like, okay, you need to put $20,000 down, $30,000 down. Like, oh, I'm gonna ask my mom, I'm gonna ask my uncle. You feel me? Like,
man, that might be another topic.
Like, they be bringing,
that might be a whole other topic.
They bring up like Jeff Bezos started Amazon in his parents' garage or something like that, but they don't.
It's supposed to be like books or something.
Yeah, but they don't. They always leave out the fact that his parents damn near gave him $300,000 to start. You feel me? Like, Donald Trump got a small loan of $1 million from his dad. Like, our realities just aren't the same. It's crazy.
On a lighter note, it was a storm on social media because your girl Megan Thee Stallion won Artist of the Year over Lil Baby. I don't know if y'all fans of Lil Baby. I know we have a Meg fan, so do you feel it's well deserved, or you think it's
I didn't really keep up with that personally, honestly.
I did.
Based on what you know.
I think based on what I know, I've seen Meg come out with hit after hit after hit with feature after feature. So I mean, I've seen it earned.
Right.
I don't follow Lil Baby enough to have seen him pop out every time with the.
I
like him though. I'm not even gonna say I don't like him. I just don't follow him as much as I follow Meg, so I'm not aware of when he drops new music, how often he drops new music. But his songs are good. Like, some songs I do enjoy. But based off of hard work I've seen from Meg and only Meg, so I'm biased. It's well deserved, sure. But I can't say that, unbiasedly at all.
Yeah, to me it's crazy that she won over Lil Baby.
Okay.
I mean, I not say I love Meg Thee Stallion.
Yeah, bro. You might have to pause.
Yeah, like, I was about to just speak from the heart. I respect like her movement and everything that she's doing, and like the energy around her. Right. So I get why that. And then, am I wrong for thinking that they gave it to her because like her situation? Like, am I wrong for thinking that?
I mean, I feel like you're human.
It might have had a tad influence
based on subconsciouses alone. Like subconsciously.
I mean, if you think it, there's something there, right?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. I mean, if I thought it, other people thought it too. But Lil Baby, he been going up this whole year. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Like, he should have got it. Like, he should have for sure got it. But I feel like with Meg, it's, you know, if I'm a BET exec, it's like, yeah, she gotta win because she's touching on a lot of like hot issues right now. Then, you know, she signed to Rock Nation, which is Jay-Z.
But Baby had that bigger picture song.
He did. He did. That was surprising to me. Like, honestly, I wasn't even really checking for him until I heard that, and I was like, okay, let me kind of dig deep, and then like I be hearing his music every so often. Because at first I had him like lumped in with like Young Thug, but then I started listening to it. I'm like, okay, this dude really spitting.
Right.
And he just been hella consistent. But you know, I'm just glad we got like a Black Award show that we could highlight our artists on.
Right. I honestly feel there's no like right or wrong answer with those two because they both been on like a crazy run.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Baby came like slightly before her, but.
And I'm not even mad though. I mean, I know I said it's crazy, but that was just me, you know.
I mean, in a man, like let's be real. As much as you feel her situation might have helped her, you gotta remember it's a lot of people that are supporting Tory right now who might have been going at her.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad that she won. You feel me? She did. You know, she been going up a lot this year too.
All right, so I think I gave y'all a little time to come up with this. Y'all top 3 male R&B singers all the time, and y'all top 3 female R&B singers.
Okay, cool. I kind of had a conversation like this yesterday. I guess I'll go.
Who want to set it up?
For male, Marvin Gaye is always gonna be my like number one.
This nigga old as
hell. Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying, Marvin Gaye is that dude. Then after that, it's I want to say it's Maxwell. Yeah, for sure, it's Maxwell. He gives a vibe. And lastly, last one is always the hardest one. Boom. I gotta go back to that.
The last one?
Yeah, for the last one, I gotta think about that one. Yeah, for sure coming.
Who you got for oh, okay. Don't kill me, y'all. Kells is one of them for sure.
Podcast. How we
Kells. He's not number one, but I could for sure say Kells.
That's my number 3 then.
Joe is another one. And probably for my last, I'd probably say Neo.
Okay, that's respectable.
Yeah, Neo. I think Chris is probably like the most like. Especially from our generation, like musical genius, like as far as like all across the board.
You talking about Chris Brown?
Chris Brown.
Oh yeah. No,
I think like because he can make like that, you know, 90s or early 2000 type R&B if he wants to, but then he can like kind of mix it with his, you know, he had, like when everybody was going the techno pop route, he was able to. You know, to do that. So I mean, he's one of my favorites. I wouldn't say he's top 3. I do prefer the other 3 over him, but he up there. But females.
Whitney Houston, that's number 1. Janet Jackson, and man, so many. There's so many.
The females is probably a lot easier for me, like because I listen to
it's honestly so many, but shit. I'll go with Anita. That's my last one.
So who?
Anita.
Baby. You're old as hell, bro.
I know, right?
Is this was a little easy?
I mean, I can go back to the dudes real quick. For me, it'll probably be more modern off the top of my head. I can't say these are 3 of my favorites of all time.
That's
I don't
why
have
calling us the old guy.
No, but I don't have a favorite anything. So I mean, the list can go on to be 20 people that are my top 20. 3 off the top of my head: Chris Brown, Lloyd. Based off of the type of music I like to listen to, Jeremiah. I like. If I'm talking R&B, when I hear R&B, I'm thinking like sex music too. So those 3 can excellently execute that for me. As far as females, Rihanna, Summer Walker, love her music. Right now, at least, as far as like who I like right now.
You can't put Rihanna right now.
I mean, not right now, but I'm saying as far as, but that goes with the list in general. As far as R&B, like, don't come for me.
I'm teasing.
Don't come for me. What the fuck? I said what I said. Rihanna's on the list.
That's my way of saying like, how do you just in the middle of your prime just be like, I'm cool, like I ain't making spit.
Yeah, she good. She good.
But she running shit with the Fendi shit. We'll get on that another time because
she making her bread. Like, like you was in.
But she's smart about it. She's so.
She could have did both. Like,
she can, and she probably still plotting on it. But I'm not even mad at her because her businesswoman shit is on it. Like, wow, I'm impressed. I'm gonna come back to the third person for me, third female.
Mine's just pretty easy, especially off the top of my head. I think Brandy is number 1.
Yeah, I feel you.
Say that off top.
Yeah.
Brandy's
over Monica.
Hey man,
why you gonna do that? Like, why you gonna do that?
And I think she won that versus, by the way. I think I held count. I think it was like 12 to 8 Brandy, in my opinion, from what I seen. And I gave Monica like a song because like I didn't like her song better, but I gave it to her because I knew it was. Like,
that was probably my favorite verses out of all of them.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. That one.
When I heard about that one, I was like,
I just thought of 2 more people. Sorry for the females. Janae Aiko, off top. Oh, thought of a third. SZA, obviously. Okay. And another is Jayla Darden. Y'all might not know of her, but her music is bomb as fuck too. So all of those, everything I need. And I'll probably think of more, honestly.
So I got Brandy number 1. I got Tamia.
Tamia?
Tamia.
Wow, that's a deep.
I think that's.
And you talk about he on some other shit. Like, okay, what's last time Tamia went off to this?
That's
okay,
deep.
we're not gonna talk about it. I'm not gonna get on.
That's like saying Sam. That's like me saying Sammy
or something. Like, okay.
I mean, I think that was like a personal one because my mom used to listen to Tamia like crazy.
Okay,
and I think like once I got older and I went back to it, I was like,
I feel like that's more amazing. Like me saying 702 or something. Like some real, or I don't know, like 112 or something. Like.
Yeah, y'all gonna talk sweet about my third one, man. So Ashanti Moore.
Ashanti Moore?
Ashanti Moore.
I'm not even familiar. I ain't even wrong with you.
I feel like I know it at least.
I almost said Ashanti.
I'm about to put this in your game. These cameras go off.
Yeah, you got to educate me.
Yeah. All right, so we gonna hit our AGM conclusion dialogue. So with the police, right? Where do y'all stand? Do y'all think it should be reformation? Do y'all think they should be abolished, or do y'all think it should be left as is?
Damn, that's cool. Reformation. I mean, I hear everybody saying abolish the police, but it's like, what the hell? Like, to me, that don't make no sense.
That's not realistic or logical.
It's not realistic. It's not logical. Like, we need. There has to be some type of like force to enforce the law. Like, it has to be there. That being said, complete reformation of the whole entire system is just completely necessary, from the hiring practices to the training, to the amount of training. Like, dudes, you know, off the street, I don't even think you need a
psych
college.
evaluation.
High school diploma, bro.
High school diploma, do it. Then we got people coming back from the military, becoming police officers, and those are two completely different mindsets.
Being cops. I mean,
like, you're going from
bit.
Like,
and they get in easier.
Exactly. And then, you know, it has to be like some type of relationship with the police and the community. Like, you can't have like some white dude from wherever coming into a black neighborhood.
Going to South Central.
Most white people don't even they don't know black people at all. They don't know what we look like when we're mad, what we look like when we're frustrated, when we're upset. They just see, oh, this nigga's not doing what I want them to do. And niggas are dangerous, right? So So it's like all that has to change. Like all of it has to change. And there's examples of like complete police reformations and to some levels of success, but there has to be different consequences for killing unarmed people. It's so much because like a police officer can change the course of your life in so many different, like even without killing you, they could like arrest you, give you a ticket.
Just an experience.
Yeah, like
I could give you a couple for sure.
Like my 20s was entirely like made way more difficult than they should have been because I got hella tickets from police officers that suspended my license for damn near like until I was like 26.
Right.
Shit was crazy.
Do I need to repeat the question?
No, I got it. I feel like reformation is definitely needed. I feel like definitely piggybacking off of what Dorian was saying as far as reformation needed, as far as the hiring process, the training that goes into it. People fresh out of the military should definitely have at least 3 psyche evals before they try to be a cop, considering PTSD is real.
Right.
PTSD, most cop situations will come with triggers for any situation, or traumatic or not, let alone for Army individual or vets, I should say, who deal with PTSD. As far as the training and all that, I don't know when they started being like, all right, so forget the whole shoot to wound thing. Right. Just shoot to kill, and make sure you shoot to kill and they're dead for sure. Overkill. Make sure. Like, I don't know when that came up. I'm thinking around 2014 they started to become more and more lenient since Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin and all that. Not Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown and all that. Eric Gardner moving forward. It like just continued to become more and more desensitized. Now police brutality videos or snuff films. I said that last time. But ultimately it's like it comes down to stop trying to kill everybody. Like, wound, detain,
or just stop
diffuse the situation.
Viewing the color of our skin as a threat, really.
Absolutely. Really, and then I also feel like it has to do with, once again, mental health. Don't go into a situation if a black person is dealing with some mental issues, with or without a weapon. They need to do a lot more sensitivity training when it comes to diffusing situations. Period. They need to learn how to diffuse a situation.
Like, if you that fearful, that quick, and
that trigger sensitive and all that, it's like
an excuse for a police officer.
But ultimately, y'all need to learn how to diffuse a situation. I feel like every cop should have that type of training, because cops aren't just called for not always cause for violence. If somebody's committing suicide, a cop can be called. They need to learn how to diffuse that situation so they don't jump off a bridge. That comes up. They need to be more heavy on that, considering mental health has been more prominent these days and things of the nature. Right. So I feel like that's amongst the different things, along with holding responsibility. Cops need to start getting indicted for the things that they're doing, punished. Rightfully, accountability needs to be had. All of that goes into reformation. So abolishment, like we said before, not logical, not realistic. Unless we're not asking for anarchy, we don't want socialism. So calm down. Let's just regulate some things, change things to be how they need to be, more ethical, and then maybe we can get somewhere.
Well, let me play devil's advocate though. Like, all of the stuff you guys mentioned is pretty much in place right now, but yet here we are.
But it's not exercised.
So
it's not enforced.
It's not enforced, exactly.
That's the problem. Exactly. I feel like it comes with enforcement. I feel like all of this comes from a source. And even when it comes to locking people up or being insensitive and cops ruining lives over nothing, that still comes down to not only laws, but court systems, judges. It's so much bigger than the police. And I wish it was just the police. But also profiling.
That's just what I think we're zoning in on at the moment. It's definitely a much broader.
But it branches out, because it comes down to what police chiefs are hired. Police chiefs don't hire other police chiefs. It's higher ups that are doing that. The higher ups that are seeing who's fit, who's regulating things, who's enforcing things, who's going by the book. And don't get me wrong, people are great at putting on fronts. You can fake it till you make it until you in it, and then you in it and you flip the switch, and then you really get to do your ulterior motive. That comes up too. Absolutely.
But I mean, it's kind of like there's this joke that Chris Rock has said in his last stand up, where he was addressing, like, you know, the people who say like, oh, it's just like a few bad apples, and he was like, "Again, some jobs or some areas you can't have no damn bad apples. Like everybody has to be good."
Right.
And the example he gave was pilots. You ain't gonna hear no airline tell you when you coming on like So we had a couple. We had a couple that like crashed a couple planes last year, but for the most part, they all good. You gonna turn the hell around.
And it's like the consequences.
And the screening for pilots, like people don't understand. That's a long process. It's so much it's so much research they do into these people before allowing them to get to that level. And, I know there's probably more of a necessity for police, and they're probably hurting right now as far as having people, but I think they need to figure something out as far as like having more of a screening than just, I got my diploma, I passed these tests. Like, from what I heard, I know the tests aren't the easiest, but it should be a lot more than just that, you know what I'm saying, as far as, being a part of that. And I think that's, because you can't change how somebody feels. If you have racist cops, you have racist cops, and you're going to have them. You have them in every field, but, what you can do is implement certain consequences and accountability to where, like, if you try to utilize this at work in any type of way, you out of here. You know what I mean? And I think they should be treated, just as much, if not more, severe than like regular civilians.
Absolutely. Because they're supposed to uphold the law. They're supposed to protect, and they over here threatening lives and killing people. Like, y'all more menaces than civilians in gangs. Like, let's be real. Like, y'all out here stepping on necks and stuff for no good damn reason. Over trying to sell CDs and choking people out, or over not being in the right place at the right time, over openly not listening to the person. They're trying to show you they information, and you thinking that they pulling out something, which is just an excuse. Let's not even talk about planting evidence. But we're not even gonna go there. Like, corrupt as fuck. I feel like it's I can't say curriculum because I don't think that's the proper word for the police academy, but the police academy equivalent of the curriculum needs to be changed. Period.
Yeah,
the standards need to be changed. I'm
really big on like getting more involved and building that rapport with the community. Not even on some like I'm a police officer, but like I'm a person.
Yeah, let's talk about it as people.
To y'all, as people, because that's I feel like that's
there's too much hierarchy.
Racism aside, I feel like another issue is like I'm an authority figure over you, so you not doing what I want you to do is a problem, and I'm going to use. Even though they literally just like you, they just have a badge. Exactly.
They're no different from you.
So I don't know.
That badge is off.
And I think another thing that needs to be addressed, like, because I've had quite a few like black people and even some non-black people who have like been a part of the force in some kind of way, who have said that, like, they try to, kind of be a part of the solution. Like, like a lot of the OGs tell us, like, we got to be more, police officers, more judges. But they've said that, like, they literally can't, like, it sounds good, but when you're actually in it and you understand the dynamic of, like, you being looked at a certain way, or even though on paper everything is a certain way, but actually being in it, it was like, I've had friends that told me, like, it was literally just too much. Like, he couldn't even, like, sleep with himself at night because he like, you're supposed to turn your head when you see wrong being done. Yeah. When, again, it's implemented that it should be the opposite. So, I feel like that's another thing that needs to be addressed, like the uncomfortability that people are who really, have integrity when it comes to the people that are trying to be a part of the force. And those are like the outliers when it comes to that.
Yeah, and that's the police whole institution is corrupt from the bottom to the top pretty much, and everybody knows it. That's why we always hear like "fuck the police," but never hear like "fuck the firefighters" or something like that.
Exactly. All right, well, yeah, we'll put a button on it there, man. Great dialogue with y'all once again, man. Appreciate y'all. My boy Drake behind the camera, man. I forgot to mention him at the top of the show, man. But thank y'all for tuning in, man. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share. Let's take this to the furthest extent, man. And peace. See y'all later.
Peace.